Hello, respected members of the City Council and Mayor Tekel. Thank you for hearing us today. My name is Bailey, and I'm a proud member of our LGBT community, and I'm here to ask you to consider raising the rainbow flag at City Hall in June. In 2007, I moved from the Castro in San Francisco to a studio apartment on 3rd and Franklin in downtown Napa. I was fortunate to spend my young adult life living in communities that embraced who I was, where the rainbow flag flew on the streets, on homes, and in businesses daily. Napa is the furthest from home I have ever lived. That realization hit me hard on my second day living in town when a white 4x4 truck blew through a downtown crosswalk, almost hitting me, and 2 men yelled "faggot" out the window. I was so surprised I actually looked behind me to see who they were yelling at, but the only person standing there was me. This was the first time since my years as a closeted, questioning queer youth living in a conservative Southern California suburb where I didn't feel safe, where I didn't feel welcome, and where I could not see who I was reflected in the community around me. Since 2007, I have watched Napa evolve into an inclusive community, it pays a lot of lip service to being. But the burden of implementing equity, diversity, and inclusion has fallen on our shoulders, the people who belong to historically marginalized communities, all of us here speaking about this today. It needs to become a priority for and the responsibility of all of our elected officials and community leaders to make equity and inclusion a top priority. Equity, just and fair inclusion of all, is essential to growing a strong and local economy and building a vibrant and resilient community. Due to a lack of inclusion and equity in our community programs, events, policies, and services, people from our community continue to be marginalized and feel unsafe in Napa County. The Napa County LGBTQ Strategic Planning meeting on October 2018 revealed that we fear accessing local health care networks. We feel isolated, alienated, and invisible in our community spaces and unsafe with local law enforcement. And the homophobia I experienced back in 2007 still exists here today. Raising the rainbow flag isn't going to erase these complicated issues, but the colors flying in tandem with the stars and stripes is a source of inspiration and a recognition of equality, a recognition of a struggle for equality that is not over by any stretch of the imagination. The rainbow's emphatic stripes activate a sense of change, evoking new possibilities and narratives for Napa, and a powerful message that says, we are welcome here, we are seen, and we matter. Something I hope you wish all of your constituents to feel. Thank you.
Mayor, council members, good afternoon. I'm Bill Chadwick. I live at 2130 Pine Street. What I'm about to say, I hope you all consider in the near future. I've never said this in public, but I consider myself a patriot. I love America and that symbol of America, the flag, and what it represents: tolerance, equality for all, and freedom. This is where the confetti comes out of the sign, Jill. I'm here today to say that I think the display of the rainbow flag, the symbol of the LGBTQ community, supports those same values, and I endorse a decision by the City Council to fly that flag over the City Hall during the month of June. I meet my gay son Will under that big rainbow flag in the Castro. It's one of my favorite places to go to in San Francisco. I volunteer to serve, and I'll run all the flags that meet that criteria up and down the flagpole out here in front of City Hall. You can call me any time of the day or night. Not at nighttime. We don't fly the flags at nighttime unless they're lit. So, Mayor Jill, Scott, Doris, whoever happens to be the mayor, I'm offering y'all my services. I'd like to be the volunteer to do that job, and let's do right by our citizens. And I'm gonna borrow a tagline from those young folks: we're better if we're all together. Thank you very much.
Hi, Mayor Jill, council members. Thank you so much for your time today. My name is Jenny Olson, and I'm the Executive Director of Teens Connect. And I'm here today on behalf of our youth, specifically our LGBTQ youth, to ask the city to consider our request to fly the rainbow flag above City Hall in June, which is Pride Month. According to the most recent California Healthy Kids survey, 44% of LGBTQ students in the NVUSD considered suicide in the last year, compared to 13.5% of our heterosexual students. 44% is nearly half of our LGBTQ students, and this data is from 9th and 11th graders taken last year. The survey also shows there's an increased rate of alcohol and drug use among our LGBTQ high school students. 38% are actively using drugs and alcohol versus 18% of our heterosexual students. These numbers are staggering, and while there are many more social determinants of health at play here, this information makes me wonder if our LGBTQ youth might not be feeling that they belong. Through my work with Teens Connect, I see firsthand the issues that are plaguing our young people. Over the past 2 years, I have heard from approximately 1,500 middle and high school students about specific issues they are struggling with. So many shared that they suffer from debilitating anxiety, depression, suicide ideation, social exclusion. Many are bullied and feel that they don't belong. Many engage in unhealthy behaviors as coping mechanisms. Together with our school district, the county, our hospitals, and our amazing nonprofits in Napa, we are working hard to support the mental health and well-being of our students by adding new programs and initiatives every year. Most importantly, we are engaging our youth in this work. They are breaking the stigma around mental health and opening the conversation among their peers about what it means to be inclusive and accepting. We adults must do better for our youth. We must lead the way to a more accepting and inclusive community for our children. Flying the rainbow flag above City Hall would symbolize acceptance and inclusiveness, as well as give the message that our LGBTQ youth are not alone. Thank you.
Hi, Mayor and Council. My name is Pete Shaw. I'm the senior pastor at Crosswalk Community Church, where I've been serving for 20 years now in this community. I've had the great privilege to serve this community in a number of roles on the Domestic Violence Task Force, most currently on Child Abuse Prevention Council and with the First Five Network cohort. Our church is a church that has tried as best as we can to really serve the community in a range of ways. We have about 1,000 people flow through our walls each week just to serve their recovery efforts, as well as many homeschool gyms and et cetera. We're, as you know, the first to open, last to close evacuation center in Napa whenever Mother Nature calls. Most recently, we added a recovery group for the LGBTQ community, and we're humbled by the fact that that was not a common space for people in Napa. I've had the opportunity as a pastor. The faith community has not been wonderful, to say the least, to the LGBT community. In fact, they're still oppressive in many ways around the world. We acknowledge that and we apologize that, at least from our vantage point. In the recent year, I've had the opportunity to officiate the weddings of 2 gay couples. And in both situations, there was horrible violence exacted against both a younger couple, both parties, and also in an older couple. One of them grew up right here in Napa. He's my age, and he remembers when he came out in high school, how he was beaten to a pulp by his friends because he wasn't big enough to defend himself. That lets me know that not only is there not equality, there is serious inequity. So I have an invitation for you, an opportunity that you get to do something really spectacular here in Napa, and that is that you get to celebrate this equality and this dream of equity just with the simple raising of a flag in June to celebrate a wide swath of our population that has been oppressed for a great deal of time, and only now in recent history have they begun to emerge and have a voice, even though still, in many cases, afraid to come out and be who they are. When you celebrate, you elevate this entire people group, and I encourage you to celebrate this with great fanfare, that you might elevate the equality and further the equity of a massive group of creative people, our equals in this community. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Ann Sakawi Hemstreet. I have a wife who is a physical therapist at St. Helena Hospital, a precocious 3-year-old daughter you might have heard a little earlier, and a newborn who was just delivered at the Queen. I'm a program manager at First Five Napa, and I own my own consulting business through which I support local nonprofit organizations such as Girls on the Run and Napa Valley Unified School District. We moved to Napa in 2014 after growing up in the Bay Area and living in Los Angeles and North Carolina. We knew we wanted to live in a smallish town where our future kids would be safe, have lots of parks to play in, and we could get around easily. We wanted to be close to our families who live in the Bay Area so our kids would have good relationships with their grandparents. We figured Napa was basically the Bay Area, so we'd be safe as a gay family and likely find a small community of other gay families here. And now we have kids, and we have been welcomed here. Our neighbors in Browns Valley are our new family. They look out for our kiddos, and they bring us cookies at Christmas time. My wife and I have built a lovely, supportive community of friends and work colleagues. We really love living here and want to make Napa home. And yet, none of our friends are gay. We rarely see rainbow flags. I think I see more Trump stickers than rainbow stickers. I am often the only gay person in the room, and I often have to come out when talking about my family because people assume I have a husband. I hear that few of the schools in the district have gay-straight alliance clubs, demonstrated to improve school climate for all students, not just gay students. I hear that city and county officials want to be inclusive and support diversity, but I see no out gay people in high, powerful positions and very few specific policies to protect and support the LGBTQ community. So I wonder, can we stay here? Can I feel confident that my kids are welcome here? That they will feel and be safe and happy and thrive? I'm here today to ask you to fly the rainbow flag during the month of June for Pride Month. The rainbow flag demonstrates the city's support for diversity and inclusivity. Flying the rainbow flag does matter. A rainbow flag anywhere, at a restaurant, at my pediatrician's office, tells me that I'm welcome there. When my city flies the rainbow flag, it's a huge symbol that tells me my city cares about me. My city cares about my kids. And it tells all the kids and teens out there, either those with gay parents or those that might be gay, trans, or queer themselves, that they are safe and welcome and going to be okay. The flag itself isn't enough, but it's a huge yet simple step. And it would definitely make me feel like we can work together to ensure everyone in Napa feels the support they need from their community to survive and thrive. Thank you for listening and for your support.
Mayor Jill and City Council members, I first stood in front of this podium in 2008. One of you is still here. 48 of us stood here and begged for a proclamation to oppose Proposition 8, which has since been ruled unconstitutional. 0 people opposed. This council at that time would not vote on the measure. We were shooed out the door. I looked in your eyes, Jill, and I said, "This is wrong," and you shut the door. And I didn't know you then. I do now, and we are now friends. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate much of what you do for this city. That said, I also stood here and sat in negotiations where we wanted the city to fly that flag in approximately 2011. My memory is going, I'm getting older and fatter. It got pushed off on the business community, of which I was a member, and we paid for those flags that ran down the streets that told this community that we're accepted, that we're okay, that said that same thing to our kids. And I love what the young woman in front of me said because she echoed my feelings. We moved here too in 2008 for those same reasons. And as I stood here that day talking about the proclamation, I followed 40 people who started their speech with, "I was born at the Queen of the Valley." I started mine with, "I was not." But we have moved here to have a life here, much like these folks have. Since then, my kids are older. They're about to be gone from high school, and we've raised them here, and it has been a wonderful community. And I would not have raised them anywhere else. But it has not been without its hiccups. It has not been without its anti-gay slurs hurled at them. Most recently on an Instagram post, my son experienced a child saying, "It must be miserable," or I don't remember the exact words, to have been raised by two lesbians. So this community has a wonderful heart. It has a wonderful bunch of people. But let's show it. Let's say it. And as the woman before me said, when I go into a doctor's office and I see a rainbow flag, I think I'm safe. I breathe a little bit lighter. 49 years into this endeavor, you'd think I'd be brave. That rainbow flag still takes a weight off. It tells me it's going to be okay in this church. It tells me it's going to be okay in this doctor's office. It's going to be okay. Let's fly it over City Hall and let's tell all of our young gay people, forget about us. Half of us aren't even here anymore. But let's tell those young people, it's okay. It's okay in Napa. Come on down.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Kishinev, Progressive Democratic candidate here in District 5. Love and equality. Is it too much to ask for? Is it so hard to see in this modern day and age that people, no matter how diverse they are just people? One day, and I hope that day will be soon, we will evolve the collective public consciousness so that there are no movements to support the discrimination of one group against another. Diversity is beautiful, but diversity is not enough if we are not prepared to listen to each other and to respect each other as equals, as brothers and sisters. Why are we not flying that rainbow flag in honor of Pride Month? It does not take much, just a simple gesture to show that the government, which is a body of the people, stands with all of the people. When the federal government is moving to exclude transsexuals from serving their country, and the fear-based, often religious movement to discriminate against a group of people simply for being different, it has never been more important for elected officials such as yourselves to make this simple gesture to show that you stand with all of your people, black or white, Asian or Latino, female or male, gay, straight, bisexual, transsexual, or non-binary, Christian, Jew, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, or whatever. I call on you, Mayor Jill Teckle and the City of Napa, to raise that flag and don't take it down at the end of June, but continue to stand with your people, all of them. Thank you.
I've been a member of this community for 45 or so years, and not all of them as a lesbian. So it's been an interesting journey for me, being a young straight woman in this town and then being a young lesbian and, just having the time of my life up to and including right at this moment. Our leadership has been a little slow in reacting to the gay and lesbian and especially now the transgender community, who I think kind of belong at the top of our care list. And I'll just go back to 2002 when Mayor Henderson, then Jill, you were probably on the council at the time too, when Mayor Henderson and the council signed a proclamation, much like they did for you folks tonight, that declared June Gay Pride Month in Napa. In 2002, that broke me down that Mayor Henderson and the City Council did that, because that was a really brave thing to do. Now we're asking, I think, to show our pride a little more in a bigger way in terms of flying a pride flag, a rainbow flag, along with the American flag on that post out there, out in front of City Hall. And that will seal the deal on inclusivity in this city of ours. I know it might be scary for you guys. I'm just asking you to consider it and do it. This June, let's please make that happen. Thank you so much for your time.
For me, it's very personal. I have LGBTQ members in my family, and I am here as an aunt, as a community member, to show our youth and our next generations that this community is a place that is welcoming to our families, our LGBTQ parents, our LGBTQ families with parents who have LGBTQ, and that we are a place of inclusivity and respect and compassion, and that we are not driving away our families. I think that's a reality that we are all facing right now, that as we don't take action on this, we are driving families away. I have to look at the eyes of one of my family members and say, at this moment, go somewhere else, because right here, I don't feel that you're going to have the opportunity that I know you're going to have somewhere else. And that breaks my heart. But that's the reality of it. And I think that the more and more we come together and learn about that, then we can resolve that. And I think you're hearing from a lot of great voices in this community. And I know that with the multiple hats that I wear, I will do everything I can with my other duties to continue to embrace this opportunity to raise and fly the pride flag. So thank you.
Okay, so this is a really big year. It is set to be the largest Pride celebration in our nation. On June 28th, 1969, a bunch of queens, kings, and other misfits in an already marginalized community, they came together where police officers were raiding their social spaces, harassing, molesting, taunting, beating. Then they finally stood up and they said, no more. These were the Stonewall riots, which get much of the credit for what we know today as the gay liberation movement. It's 50 years ago next month. I'm going to get a little personal now. I think you're used to that from me a little bit. I stand before you as someone who is Napa made. Back in 1973, two 14-year-olds, a little Napa boy and a just moved from Brooklyn to Napa girl, walked each other home and had their first encounter, which probably lasted all of 4 seconds, and boom, there's me. Fast forward to 21 years later, where I am a patient in St. Helena Hospital being treated for a suicide attempt following severe depression for a number of years. The doctor asks me point blank about my sexuality. I came out. I had just graduated from the Napa College and had secured a place at UCLA to begin the following September. But that summer was unbearable due to a secret I have been living with for far too long. There was no one like me in 1994, or at least so I thought. As far as I knew, I was not okay. Luckily, I'd soon be off to Los Angeles, where there would be a lot more open minds than there were in my small town. 25 years later, I stand here before you today to tell you that those kids are still right here in our city who still do not know they are okay. They do not need to try to take their own lives. They do not need to leave Napa. They need to know they are loved. They need to know they are accepted, that they are a vital, important part of our city. If we continue on this current trajectory within our political climate where we are now, which is sending so many messages of hate and teaching that the most powerful forms of communication are anger and belittlement, we will need to fly high, visible markers of peace, to borrow from Coach Bailey earlier, in tandem with our stars and stripes. The pride flag represents equality, inclusion, and equity, and I have zero doubt that this flag will become the norm, but who will be our leader in taking this stance? Jill, I know your heart is in the right place. I know you've been on your own journey with this issue. And so, in honor of that journey, the 50 years of our brothers and sisters that made this possible, my own 25-year journey, and all of the people that want Napa to be a safe place, a welcoming place, I would like to give you something.
Yeah, you did good. Thank you. All right, we are at the end of the public comment cards, and I'm going to move forward with the rest of the agenda. I would.
I didn't get a card in. Can I still take 30 seconds?
30 seconds I will give you.
Okay. All right. Go on, Josie. Thank you very much, Jill. I might know that most of you, if not all of you, know me. I am not a new resident to Napa. I moved here almost 50 years ago, and I've seen Napa grow and change and develop into the beautiful town that it is now. I thought it was beautiful then, but I think that we have made a lot of great improvements. We have made a lot of great improvements amongst the different groups that make up our beautiful city. But, we and myself as a member of the LGBTQ community, and I came out 25 years ago for a very important reason. And it very much is like why we are asking for the rainbow flag. When gay people come out, it is a very powerful statement. It's a statement on behalf of the community and of its own community, but also a statement to the community in which it lives. But when I came out 25 years ago, I did it in an atmosphere of extreme anxiety, and fear. But I had something to say, and so I said it. And what I came to say now is, along with all the other folks that appeared, I ask you to really take one more step. I'm not going to say that, we are the same town we were 25, 40, 50 years ago. We've come a long way, but we can take one more step. And one more step would be to fly that flag and say that we are an important part of this community, because I know you all know that from your own experience. Thank you very much.
So I'm looking to direct the city manager to agendize this on our May 21st meeting if I have the support of at least 2 other council members.
I support that. Thank you, Mayor. I support that also. Thank you.